Multimin is a unique trace element. We've been talking about nutrition and minerals for the last 20 minutes, but what multimin does, we're actually focusing on micro minerals rather than macros. And look, I've done a fair few talks with Gary, and yes, people hear the two different minerals, but what we don't get is minerals. The micro minerals are really, really hard to get through the room, and we generally use them for different purposes rather than the feed utilisation. So oral mineral supplementation, we're normally talking about feed utilisation, putting a lot of weight on cattle quickly. With multimin, we're talking about immunity, reproduction, and yes, growth at the end of it. So I'd like to just touch on the immune system. So what is the immune system? You've got three parts really of the immune system. You've got your physical barriers, you've got your specific immune system, and you've got your non-specific immune system. So that's your antioxidants working against diseases and things like that. Your physical barriers, your skin, your eyes, your saliva, your feet, those sort of things. And then we give in vaccines, which gives us our specific. When the immune system's overwhelmed, the immune system's falling, that's when we're going to see the 3-day scours, the 3-day sickness, calf scours, clostridial. So, you see more cases of blackleg this year because the immune system's been down, it's been knocked around by feed. We've seen a lot more pulpy kidney cases when it does rain, things like that. So a stronger immune system, less disease, and higher profitability. So, what can influence the immune system? Antioxidants. Now, we all heard about antioxidants, haven't we? We hear it on the TV about vitamins and mineral supplementations for us. They do perform a lot in cattle and sheep and in all stock. They perform a lot in us too. Now, the reason being because they fight free radicals. So our body's making free radicals all the time. And that's just a bit of an offshoot of us eating and gaining things from the air and around and what comes in through our skin or through our saliva or through our eyes. So free radicals just start in a cell, and there might be one or two in there, and then they start getting a bit worse and a little bit worse, and then the cell dies. And that's when we start running into problems with, say, pulpy kidney or blackleg or 3-day sickness, or a lot of different diseases are coming in and hurting that. Now, antioxidants, we need those in our system to knock out those free radicals. So we've still got the free radicals coming in from all different things outside, then our antioxidants attached to them. Now, they've got a little specific way of dealing with with free radicals, and that's through these systems. So what happens with antioxidants, in this first step, we're taking some antioxidants and we're turning into a less harmful product, which is bleach. Now, we don't particularly want bleach in our system, do we? But that is a less problem than the free radicals that are there. The second step is turning that bleach into water. Now, what do we need to do that? In the first one, we need copper, manganese and zinc, and that turns all those free radicals into bleach. And now everyone talks to me about, I've got a selenium deficiency. Well, yes, but we have selenium deficiency in Australia because we actually don't get much selenium through the grass at all. And it's really hard to get through the rumen when we do. But we need the second step of selenium to actually turn that bleach into water, into safe and out in urine. So that is making the animal healthier because there's less free radicals through the system. So, multimin enhances the antioxidants because of those 4 minerals, and that's what the 4 minerals we have in multimin: copper, selenium, zinc and manganese. We see this in our trials with the antioxidants on day 0 and day 15, and in sheep we're looking at the GXPH in those as well, which is still gaining antioxidants, which means that we're measuring a lot of teeter response as well and those sort of things. So we're always going to go up with multimin. So we know that if we get our antioxidants levels up, we get the immunity of the animal up, vaccines will work better. We've been showing this in trials with live BVR vaccines going up to 130% better teeter response. Clostridial vaccines, such as your 7-in-1s, 5-in-1s, they're going up by about 30%. just by using Moldimin. And here's what we're seeing. As you can see, the killed vaccines, the clostridial vaccines, they're up about 30 to 40%. Those live BRVS, or bovine respiratory diseases, they're up to about 130% better. That's titer response. So titers are what we measure the response of those vaccines being. So the myth is with vaccines is that when we vaccinate an animal, we get coverage right across the herd. And that's what we'd hope to get. What we really see is we get some that are covered, some that are not totally covered, some that are over-covered, and some that don't respond at all. And that's why we've got to go for a herd immunity when we're vaccinated. We've all heard that one. We've heard the anti-vaxxers talk about vaccine and things, but there are animals, certain animals that don't respond. By using Moldimin, we're actually seeing a lot cleaner. We are going to get ones that aren't as highly, don't have higher titer responses to vaccines, but they will have some. So the higher the immunity of the animal, the higher we're getting vaccine response and less sicknesses through the herd. And when we talk about less sicknesses through the herd, that means money in the pocket. I mean, we don't want to see losses of pulpy kidney. We don't want to see losses from blackleg. And if we can hold off a few, we're doing well. And like we said, it's an investment rather than a cure. So, I'll just threw this slide in. I've had to take a fair few out because I haven't got too many times, but you can see by all of those in the mastitis counts and calf scours and everything is dropping when we're using Moldimin. So it's looking at pure health of the animal. We're not focusing on one disease, we're looking at the whole health of the whole animal. If you give 100 breeders a 5 ml dose, which is 1 ml per 500 kilo dose rate, it's going to be about $3.50. If you can get one extra calf in that 100, you've definitely paid for yourself. So it is working in that respect. This is something I always throw up too. This one, the ruminants are terrible at absorbing trace minerals. And I've touched on it a couple of times. Selenium by 30%, copper by 1.5%, zinc 10 to 20%. But look at manganese, 0.15% at best through the rumen. And this is why we inject these minerals. If they've got other minerals present, and Gary touched on it before by antagonistic minerals, some other minerals lock things up, and with micro minerals, nearly everything locks them up. So what we want to do is get those micro minerals where they're needed to the liver. And the liver is where we're making all these antioxidants to go out and fight all the diseases. So if we can put those minerals in the liver, we're in ahead. That's where we want them, that's where they're doing their job. If we add other antagonistic minerals, so with copper it's phosphorus and molybdenum. Molybdenum ties up a lot of copper. With selenium, iron, phosphorus again. Zinc, pretty much anything has a go at zinc. Funnily enough, copper actually has a go at zinc if they're not put in at the right levels together. But when they're put in the right levels together, they actually help each other. So they're helping each other on that one, but they can tie each other up through an oral supplementation. And manganese, nearly everything attaches to manganese and rips it out of the body. So when we put antagonistics in, this is what we get. We get most of our minerals going straight out the back end, and then we get one little mineral, a little bit there. And that's what we're hoping for with day-to-day utilisation. And like I say with Gary's stuff, please don't think Megamin and Moldimin should be used two separate things. It should be, you're talking about your mineral supplementation through oral, that needs to be going on all the time. And then at critical times of the year, that's when we want our Moldimin in there. So, I'll just get past that one. So, the reason why I say that is, if you actually have a look how long it takes to get your mineral status up by just feeding minerals, oral trace minerals, 45 days. Your chelated minerals, that are a bit better minerals, 21 days. And that's why we should be feeding out these dry licks and blocks and mineral supplementation all the time. It shouldn't just be, the grass is getting dry, we'll whack out a bit of stuff. With Moldimin, we're in there in 24 hours. We're in the liver with those minerals. So they're working within 24 hours. And this is why we're using it at peak times. So when we're talking young calves, that we want that immunity going, we're hitting them at sort of marking, weaning, and then probably every 3 months up until that first joining, or until you sell them. we're seeing great growth rates, we're seeing less disease, more money in the pocket. With adult cows, you really only have to do 2 a year. That 1 month before calving, because that's when all your immunity is dropping when the animal's throwing everything into that calf. And secondly, if you want to get more calves on the ground, a month before joining, it sets that animal up, gets everything right through their joining process. So here's the little slide. Like I said, 1 month before joining, I always say about a month, it says 4 weeks up here. It actually is about 28 days for peak levels, but I always like to put it at a month. The only adult cows I would do in the whole breeding cycle more than twice a year would be bulls, and I would be doing them every 3 months. Manganese and zinc are so important for spermagenesis. It sets up that much. I've only got a little bit of time, so I am running through it a bit quicker than I normally do. So yes, bulls, definitely 3 times a year. 90 days out from joining, at joining, when you pull them out, and then 1 before while they're just sitting and eating in the paddock. And that's basically for your spermagenesis. Hoof health, the zinc's really helping their feet. You see bulls that have been joined for 3 months, they really struggle coming out of the paddock. Their foot's sore. That's basically because they've used all their zinc storage, which is mostly stored around the hooves and places like that. So they do get foot sore, and yeah, then it's not real fun for them. And those calves, just every sort of 3 months until you do that, move them on or do it. So just to summarise, Multimin is a unique mineral injection. It's the only one on the market that injects all 4 of those minerals, so copper, selenium, zinc and manganese. And they're the 4 ones we have the most problem getting through the rumen. And they're mostly the 4 that are really, they're the really ones that take charge of immunity and reproduction, of course. So because I've had to run through this really quickly, please do come over and see me at my stand. Please fill out that form because I am going to draw out a packet of 200ml of Multimin at the end. And thank you all for listening to me for my 10 minutes of fame.